What's going on, everybody? Gonna go ahead and do a review on this Coleman flashlight. This is the 200 lumen light that I showed you guys in a prior video doing some nighttime beam shots, comparing it to the Fenix LD20, which I also have up here as well. But the title of this light, it's the Coleman ultra high power aluminum flashlight. There's the packaging. You can kind of see where it says there. But the actual model number is the CT20. There's not a whole lot about this light online. If you go to the Coleman website and you look up the actual title, the 200 lumen ultra high power aluminum flashlight, it comes up with basically the same model, only it doesn't say CT20 on it. It says CT17, but it's the exact same specs as far as output. 200 lumens, 2 modes, basically the same light, but they have it listed for $40 right now on the Coleman website. Where I picked this up at is actually at Walmart. I found it for $24.88. Now that's a really great value for what you're getting, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit in the review and kind of explain that. But as I was saying, it's just really hard to find online. So if you're the type of person that buys things only online, then this probably isn't for you. But if you shop at Walmart, you can probably pick this thing up. Now I just basically want to go over some of my experiences with the light, and also just the basic modes of it, and just my overall opinion of it. Now right off the bat, let's look at the size comparison with the Fenix LD20. We can see that both of them are basically the same length. They're both 2 AA battery flashlights with both very similar outputs. I did some beam shot comparisons, like I said, and I found them to be very similar in overall output. It was really hard for me to distinguish which one had more brightness on its high level, the highest modes. As far as the way the beam is set out, the LD20 has a parabolic reflector, and it has more throw. This particular one, at least. The Coleman light has a TIR lens, totally internal reflector, beneath the lens, excuse me, but kind of has a different beam when it throws out. The Coleman light kind of gives me more of a floodlight. It throws a light out to about, I'd say 30 yards would be its best usable as far as the total length of how far the light can go. LD20, maybe something else like 50 yards, but as in comparison of the total brightness, I find them to be quite similar. Speaking of these two lights and comparing the brightness, the reason why I was saying that the Coleman light doesn't throw quite as far of a beam is because the hot spot is larger. I'm going to try and show that on camera. I may not be able to because of the way I have the brightness set up, but it's basically it has a larger hot spot than the LD20. The Coleman light does, so it just doesn't throw the light as far as the LD20. But anyways, on to the next point. We'll go ahead and look at the overall diameter difference. You can kind of see that the Coleman light is wider. It's not as slim, the overall body, the circumference of the light. And also on the head of the flashlight, you can tell that the circumference is much larger in diameter than the LD20. Same thing with the tail of the flashlight. So I just wanted to give you a size reference first. Also, I'm going to go ahead and weigh it so that you guys know how much it weighs. The Coleman light comes in at about 5.0 ounces with 2 standard AA batteries, alkaline batteries, Duracell. 5 ounces, the Fenix LD20 with the same Duracell alkaline batteries, 3.8 ounces. And I'll show you that it's the same batteries, because I know someone's going to ask. See, Duracell, Duracell. So basically you're looking at about close to 1.5 ounce difference between these two lights if you were to compare the two of them. But there is also a very large difference. See, Duracell, Duracell. Same batteries. The Coleman light, 5 ounces. And I was talking about the larger diameter of the light. The reason why is because you see these these kind of like guards for the batteries. On the Coleman light, they could have made it much thinner in overall circumference, but they didn't, because well, I don't really know why, but for some reason they just made it a lot larger. You can see the size of the battery inside of the barrel of the flashlight in comparison to the size of the body. So that's one kind of negative off the bat, but we are talking about a light you can get for 25 bucks. So basically, onto the operation. It's a really simple light. It has two modes. It has a high mode. It's a reverse clicky. There's a rubber button on the end, on the tail. Press it once, goes to high. Press it again, let go, goes to your low mode. And then you press it again, it goes off. Now there is no momentary on. Like I said, reverse clicky. Click it once, high mode. Click it again, low mode. Click it again, off. Those are your only modes on this light. And you cannot switch them. You actually really don't know how much brightness, how many lumens the low mode is. I would estimate that it's kind of in the, I'd say probably like the 15 to 25 lumen range, because it's not really a low. It's more like a medium. But it definitely is a lot less bright than it's the highest mode. Speaking of the highest mode, I did tell you it was 200 lumens, and I find that to be surprisingly really accurate compared to just what I can see by shining it next to other 200 lumen lights. This is a Fenix LD20 180 lumen version, and I found them to be really similar, which was honestly, it was really surprising, because usually these Coleman lights and these other camping type lights that you find in the camping section, even if they claim to have 200 lumens, they usually don't, and it's usually a pretty dramatic drop from what they say it is. But this is actually the first light I've been very impressed with as far as the overall output. Basically, I told you there was two modes. It doesn't list any runtime for the modes on the packaging, except for it says it has 2 hours of runtime. Now I assume they're talking about the high mode. Oh, and by the way, this is an XPG LED in there. Surprisingly, it's a Cree XPG LED. I don't know what kind of regulation it has. I don't know what kind of driver it has in the light. My guess is that it's pretty regulated on high mode, because I've used it for about 30 minutes and I don't notice that much of a drop in brightness. If it was direct drive, then I would notice more of a drop, I would think. And in my experiences with other lights that have direct drive, that's usually how it works. But as far as my overall testing, it seems like it does appear to be regulated, but I don't know to what extent. Now, is this light going to have as good a regulation as maybe this light, the Fenix LD20? Probably not, but I really don't know, and that's not something I'm really prepared to test. I can't sit here for 2 hours and my eyes can't distinguish when the light drops. You know, it's just not something I know how to do, to be able to test it like that for you guys. But I found it to have good runtime. I don't have any complaints. It does say that it's IPX4 water resistant. The O-rings, it does have the tail unscrews. The threads are not squared, but it is O-ring protected, and honestly, when you screw it in, it is relatively tight. It came not lubed, so I did lube it a little bit, but it's still really, really tight, and I can feel that O-ring makes a complete seal, and it seals it right about that point, so you still have that much to turn it and seal it. So I would guess that it is pretty water resistant. To what extent, I don't know. I'm not going to go diving with it, but I find that to be pretty accurate as far as the waterproofness, just from what I can see on the O-ring. The head does not unscrew. It's sealed, although if you were to heat it up, you could unscrew it and take this part off. I can tell that it was screwed on, this part at this point right here, I believe. But you know, I would imagine it's sealed up. I wouldn't submerge this in water, but I wouldn't be afraid of some rain or anything like that. I mean, it looks really well put together. There's no gaps. It all fits into place really well. Made in China, by the way, in case you didn't see that. But yeah, it's an aluminum flashlight made by Coleman. The model is the CT20, but you're probably not going to find much out about it if you type in CT20. Your best bet is to go to the Coleman website and look up the ultra high power aluminum flashlight. This is the 200 lumen version, and honestly I was really impressed. If you were to pick it up for the price on the Coleman website, where they list it for around $40, or at least they do right now, and this is in late November 2012, they list it for 40 bucks. I'm not sure I would pay 40 bucks for this light, but at the $25 price range where I found it at Walmart, definitely worth it. You know, you look at something like this Fenix LD20, where most of the time these go for 50 to 60 bucks. Right now you can get them for cheaper because it's the shopping season around the holidays. But if you were to buy this light right here in the $40 price range, I would rather save up another 10 bucks and buy an LD20, because obviously you have a lot more modes, better regulation. Oh, and one more thing, the smoothness of the beam, believe it or not, I did not find really very many artifacts at all. It looks really smooth, almost as good or if not better than this LD20. And this is the model that has the orange peel reflector in it, light orange peel reflector. So that's really surprising. The beam is really smooth, not really any artifacts, no rings at all. That was another thing that really surprised me. But yeah, like I was saying, at that price range, it's a great buy. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'm going to throw in some beam shots, and I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, I just want to do one more video comparing the Coleman 200 lumen aluminum flashlight, the 2AA, with the Fenix LD20 2AA, the 180 lumen version. Here's the Coleman CT20 on its high mode or turbo mode. I just want to show you the beam differences. And here's the Fenix LD20 on turbo. Both shining on fresh 2AA batteries, Duracell batteries, same voltage. So you can see they're very similar in overall brightness. LD20 right here, it has, like I said, more throw and more concentrated hotspot. But the Coleman CT20 over here has just a lot more spill, you know, and they're both pretty comparable as far as the brightness. But you look at the LD20, this is a $40 to $50 light depending on where you buy. Coleman CT20 200 lumen, 25 bucks, Walmart. Anyways, just thought I'd share it. I'll do a review coming soon. Thanks for watching.